10 minutes later, we're back. So the Mokulito plate which I showed you earlier, I've now cut up 1, 2, 3, and that was just done with a little coping or fret saw. You can obviously use an electric jigsaw. I didn't really see the need, it's very thin plywood, it cuts easily. Don't feel you have to go in straight lines. This is obviously a demonstration piece again, and the straight lines worked with the pattern. You can, with the little saws, they're absolutely great, and I'll show you. Was this little guy. You can obviously, they're great for going around bends, and they're absolutely brilliant. Now what I'm going to do is each strip's going to be inked up the same background colour, which is a dark purple. I'm just going to move this little roller into its stand over here, so it's not in the way, and then I'll be able to ink up. Whilst I'm over here, I'm also going to get that colour. And we'll see why in a minute, which is good. Needed that. Okay, so each strip is going to get inked up. I'm actually going to do it individually, save on tram lines, and actually that maybe a bit fiddly, but kind of made sense. I've added a bit of dark brown to this magenta, so it is a bit stronger. So if you've got really, really little bits, obviously it's going to be a bit difficult. So as with jigsaw liner, when you start cutting up bits and jigsawing them together, just be aware of what you need to jigsaw back together. After I cut this with the coping saw, I did sand the edges well, because you don't want to damage your roller surface or get bits in the ink. Lovely. Just going to give that a final squeeze of water and a couple of quick rolls to clean up and sharpen up. And these are the backs of another Mokulito plate. So the risk is the front may have got greasy and dirty over time, which obviously can affect the etch of the Mokulito. It hasn't seemed to have done too badly. I just hate the waste of one side of plywood when actually generally they're both pretty good, unless you're buying specialist ply which has a good side and a not so good side. Right, just doing the middle one. And it's nice to be able to cut up. I've always enjoyed cutting up printing plates, because printing tends to be quite sort of, can be quite a precious art form. And I think by cutting it up, it always suddenly becomes very real, and you're less precious about the work. It's also really good fun cutting up a printing plate. It's great fun. I've made this lovely brown. It's actually very difficult to see why I've inked up. So I'm just going to take a scrap of tissue paper and apply a bit of pressure with the back of my thumb, just to see if there is ink on there. Oh, there is. It is inking up. Okay. A bit in my ink. The whole studio at the moment smells a bit of deer hair. Been working with some deer hair for an installation, and it's quite stinky stuff. So it smells like we're all part deer at the moment, which is quite funny. Can you smell it as well, Gwyneth?
Mm-hmm.
Your silly mummy, what she gets up to.
It smells like deer.
It smells like deer.
I can smell.
Deer hair tends to smell like deer. I added a bit of, you might have seen it, just a tiny dab of blue to that ink, just to add a slight variation to the previous plate. And it also meant that I could actually see, for the purpose of the demonstration, where my ink was, because obviously a browny magenta on top of brown touche is almost nigh impossible to see what's going on. Whereas a blue is, it goes darker, so you can see what's happening. Okay, that's good. Number 2 inked up. And it goes like that. And finally number 3, just get some clean water. Just washing the gum off here in my bucket of clean water, which is here in the studio. Good. And in the next video we're going to be showing how Mokulito can be combined, one of my favourite things in printmaking for doing hybrid prints. So combining one or more printing technique within the same image. And Mokulito is great at that, especially if you work with unique prints, because obviously the edition run on Mokulito is not like an etching where you can get thousands. You tend to get the plywood grain coming through quite heavily after a while, and dominating the print, so you lose your imagery. But it can be really strong when combined with dry point, collage. Just going to give that a clean, which will be going through on the next video. And again, please remember the images I have drawn on these plates are just for demonstration purposes. I suppose it's each teacher to their own, but I tend not to like in using my actual work on these videos. I find it quite, what's the word? I'm going to put my foot in it now amongst loads of artists out there. I find it's best to remain neutral when teaching, so not to put your own influences upon the work, your own aesthetics too much, because then students tend to want to try and emulate that rather than find their own language. So hence why patterns and things like that tend to dominate my demonstration pieces rather than my actual own work. Right, what we're going to do now, so I'm done with that ink over there. Whilst I was off shot, I've obviously got my green. I've also got here absolutely wonderful cerulean blue, which I'm going to do a roll over on this one here, the few spots. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a mask down the spot stripe here, so I'll get my tissue paper. Is that the right length? Oh, yes. And I'm just going to tear a strip and add that there. And I'm going to roll over now with cerulean blue. I'm going to try and catch that bit of tissue, because I want to kind of demonstrate to you the beauty of this. And I'm actually now going to keep my mask in position, and I'm going to now come back from the top, because my diameter of the roller, and slide it off, is the diameter of my roller is not long enough to run along here without a repeat somewhere, a repeat of the diameter, so a repeat of the image. And that's, woo, that looks really cool already. Just leave it like that, don't bother printing it. I always think that. That one's done for the inking part. That's blue. We're going to go, this is the middle section. And this is where, because I've got little space here to show you what's going on, I have my green here. I'm going to go and get the little green roller. I'm just thinking what I'm going to do to emulate the spots which I had in the first one. I'm actually going to cut a series of quite large spots, spots-ish, eggs, little tissue paper spots, and I'm going to plop them 1, 2, 3. It's fascinating, the tissue paper is wanting to curl up. It's fascinating, it's never actually done that before when I've laid it down. It must be something to do with the dampness of the Mokulito plate. It's still slightly damp. So the tissue paper with that residual dampness is curling up like that, which makes it really difficult to roll over. So if you have slightly thicker paper, I advise that. I might see if I can get some actually, because that's going to be really difficult. Let's see what I've got in here. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. Yep. Okay, yeah, that's going to make it really difficult to roll over. So obviously the dampness from the Mokulito plate is just affecting the thin tissue. So I've got a scrap here of some slightly thicker paper. It's actually a very posh mask. It is the edge of the Japanese paper I was doing in the previous videos. And you can see how fun this gets when you start combining mask making with prints. So you can, oh good, you can send shot. I'm literally just, oh I've got 5, how exciting. I'm only going to do 4 though. There you go, Gwyneth. My personal assistant always gets the spares. That's better, they're not rolling up, so it'd be easier for me to do the rollover. Let's come and get my lovely green ink. Just need to move my blue roller. Just one bit, no it's not like that, okay, that's fine. A bit of paper from the previous. Okay.
I like deer in here.
It does smell like deer in here, Gwyneth, I'm sorry.
Fine, I like it.
You like it?
I like the
Lovely spotty roller. I'm actually going to leave those bits on, but hang on, I'll just show you. That's not a good example. They're quite nice collage bits. Don't necessarily, you know, I always end up keeping these little scraps of paper. Seems very random, but they have their place. Okay, now what I'm going to do, if obviously I had the whole plan chest or you have a whole workspace, you can mix all your colours and your rollers. I don't have that. There was the middle one. So for the third rollover, I'm actually going to add the I know, Gwyneth, the best colour of all, and I'm going straight from the tub onto my green. Really, really bad printmaking technique. Please mix your colours previously to the desired effect, and make nice little tester sheets and get a separate roller and clean up your area. But we don't have time for that. So this will do. So I'm just changing.
Yellowy green.
Yeah, you can hear the background effect. What I'm going to do, and this is where I get quite excited now, because this is a one-off unique print. I'm going to get that to a nice, oh look at that.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness, Gwyneth. I'm going to get that to an evenish roll up, and then we're going to make it spotty. How, Gwyneth? Yeah, we are, why not? I'm going to add, and now this is a one-off technique because your ink your roll-up surface will change quite dramatically with this. I've added some blue spots. Now you can't spin the roller now. I'm going to spin it a little bit just to add a bit of repeat. But look, you've got a nice spotty. Spots. Spottiness. Now, Gwyneth, I'm going to need your assistance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, could you come here and hold this roller, please? Just hold it there, 2 hands. You got it? You okay? You can do it. And I'm going to add... Whoa. Now, obviously, if you're doing this uneven rollover, you can't go back and forth across your printing plate because it's going to... Actually, you know what? I might just do straight up over.
Mama.
Yeah, we've got it, Bonnie.
Oh, no, wait.
Thank you. No, I've got it now. I need it now, Gwyneth. Thank you. I can't go back and forth like that because you end up blurring the spots. This is a one-hit wonder. I don't think I'm going to do a mask on this one. I'm going to find my spottiest bit and I'm going to just roll over. And thankfully this is a lovely big diameter roller. So if I show you, you can see where I started and ended. It hasn't matched up. And so you don't get a repeat of the marks. You don't get a repeat of the Mokulito marks. A few spots in there. Spotty! Right. What I've got here is I'm just now laying out my 3.
Mummy.
I'm going to lay them out that way. And one last thing before I print it. I am going to, Gwyneth. Now, because the dampness of the tissue paper was just causing a bit of a issue, I've got my Japanese paper again. I'm going to, obviously you don't have to use Japanese paper, it's just an offcut from the previous prints. It's just a marginally thicker paper. I'm cutting now, I move this. Again, some small little circles because I want there to be some actual just pure white spots. I'm adding a mask now and they're very little, they're like, see, teeny tiny. And I'm going to add those in the middle of those spots. Those spots were actually made by dipping the end of a copper pipe, like a plumbing pipe, into lithographic drawing ink, and just stamping it straight onto the Mokulito plate. We've gone in the middle. Now what I'm also going to do now is I'm going to go back to my bit here and I'm going to cut another series of teeny tiny circles, and this time I'm going to ink them up with this lovely bright green here. And so when I say ink them up, I mean I'm going to stick them in the green ink. And I'm going to put those, I'm going to stick them in like this, and I'm going to roll the roller over the top of them, then peel them off so I have green ink on one side of the paper. And I'm using them basically as a way to transfer a bright green spot. You can see them on the roller. This is all very there you go. All very impromptu printmaking. This is not this is not planned. This is not being precious about it. I'm not, you see, I've just added stuck a load of piece of paper and green ink, and I'm going to put them on my Mokulito plate. And I'm obviously laying them ink side up, so the ink goes on the paper, not back onto the Mokulito plate. And it's just about adding those different, sticky, different textures and surfaces. Oh, there's a nice one, into things.
Yeah, I'll tell you about that one.
What were you going to say, Gwyneth?
I was going to say that there's one down there.
I know, I don't need more though. But that's nice. What do you think, Gwyneth?
I want it.
You want it? Okay, well you can have half of it.
Yeah.
Because what I'm going to do, if I move this, I'm going to just cut this bit like this. And to mirror the colours, I am kind of thinking about it now. There you go, Gwyneth. So I've got the smaller bit, and I'm just going to whack a load of blue ink onto that.
What?
What? Why would I do that? And it's not a solid blue, it's going to be a kind of very faint blue, uneven a bit. Now, if you're doing this technique to use ink transfer onto the paper, it's basically a monoprint, you can obviously use bits of old dry point paper, the shiny surface. Cereal packets work really well, the shiny side, because this Japanese paper is obviously absorbing some of that ink, that blue ink, so it's not going to produce a solid blue. But if you use the shiny side of a cereal packet or Tetra Pak, then the ink cannot be absorbed. Whoop. Oh no, I dropped it in the water. Classic. Oh dear. Okay, we'll cut that bit off, impromptu, and we're going to have a little section instead. Hilarious. It sort of floated down into the water. So yeah, you can use Tetra Pak because the ink won't get absorbed into the paper. So you'll end up with a very true impression of what you've inked up.
I teared it, Mama.
I know you've torn it, so I'm just going to add that there now in a nice little curve. Seems I dropped half of it in the... I don't like that curve going that way, I'm going to do it that way. Seems I dropped half of it in the water. Now, I'm also going to end up with a little white line where my plywood is joined together. It's mainly because I didn't spend hours sanding my plywood edge flat. Obviously, if you have extra time, you can do that. And that will give a flush print. Okay, I'm getting my lovely Japanese paper. I'm going to put that on top and let's see what we have. What fun!
Mama.
Just going to give the press a little bit of a tighten. Gwyneth, how can I help?
I want to stand over by the press.
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Spotty. What goes on the bed now? Look, Mama.
Okay, let's see. Now this is in 3 sections. I'm going to try and lift it over with all 3 so I can peel and reveal. What I'm going to do before I do that is move that guy up to there.
Miss, he's coming down.
And perfect timing because our other daughter has just woken up from a nap and is heading down the stairs. So if you hear another little voice, that's actually Rose. Whoa, it's the jigsaw element. See what I can do. Here we go. Might have to lay it down here. Oh my goodness, that's so cool!
Oh my goodness.
Just make sure there aren't any little bits of paper stuck on. Yeah!
Oh my goodness. Oh my
Sorry.
goodness. Oh my goodness. I can't believe it. Oh my goodness.
Do you like it, Gwyneth?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to sort of bring it a little bit closer. So, let's see if I can get it all in without getting it inky. There we go.
He's coming.
So you can see all the different effects we've got. See the Mokulito marks. I'm going to hold it now close to the camera so you can see the... Now, as I say, that random bit I inked up blue, if you use Tetra Pak or something, you could ink it up really heavily so you get a solid blue, which would add which would benefit the whole image, having a really strong shape. But I'm just demonstrating different techniques. There's that nice lime green Mokulito in the background. Lovely. Those marks are done with a drawing ink and a crayon. To the middle section, that was a lino print, which I then inked up with touche and stamped on. And then there's some drawing ink, and you see the beautiful transparent green against the purpley brown. And then we did that mask, and I also added some green spots and the white spots as well. I think I've still got 2 bits of paper there, yeah. Always check that you peel them off. So you can have a real play, and that cerulean blue is beautiful coming through there. A few spatters you might not be able to see in the camera. There you go. So I added the paintbrush. It's a really beautiful, beautiful mark making you can get and experiments with Mokulito. So that's duty calls. 2 hungry children probably. Hope that was fun. I'll be back with, we're next going to be doing hybrid Mokulito, which will be really good fun.